Hmm.
Hey everyone, welcome to this Wednesday. Oh gosh, it's Wednesday. Wednesday, the 15th of June, on Facebook Live here in the Unbridled Woman. And I have a beautiful sister here, a member of our group, who has been willing to come on and talk about her personal experience with Yoni Dearmoring. So I can talk about all the benefits of it, how it's affected me, but I thought it would be really, really important for other women to hear from another woman on her personal experience and journey with Yoni Dearmoring. So, welcome, Ryan. Today, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to talk with me and to us here and sharing your wisdom and your experience with Yoni Dearmoring. And just to start off, just introducing yourself. What are you giving out to the world right now in your services, and what's been lighting you up, and what have you been doing with yourself in the world right now?
Thank you so much. So I'm Ryan, and I am a shamanic practitioner. I'm a Reiki practitioner. I'm a sound healer, a yoga instructor. So I'm doing all of these things and combining many of these things together as well right now. I have a Instagram page. It's Ryan's Reiki Yoga, and also a Facebook page. I am developing a website, and as soon as that happens, that will be announced on both of those platforms. And the website will have yoga classes, sound healings, services for energetic healings, and facilitations as well.
Awesome, awesome. Are you gonna will they be recordings on the website so people can do it
Yes, and
remotely?
I'm going to be doing a membership program. So you can get into a membership, and it'll be monthly membership, and then you have access to everything on there, all recordings. And so if you can't make something live, then it's there for you, and you can watch it and do those videos as many times as you want, whichever ones resonate with you the most. They'll be for all different levels. Yeah, I'm really excited.
Yeah, that sounds like a a big feat to take on, doing
Yeah,
doing all those videos and
it
yeah, putting
will
it out
be. Yeah.
there. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, just because
Mm.
in person is so wonderful and you can just touch so many more when you can do it remotely. So thank you for sharing
Yes.
that with everybody.
Yes.
Yeah, make sure you
Yes.
also let us know here in the group when that is available so
Okay.
people can know if they're feeling called to do that.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yes.
So when we were talking a while ago, and this is, I think we really kind of bonded on this, was um, because I get all excited when someone like resonates and like, yeah, I've done Yoni Diamri. I'm like, oh yay, tell me about it. Tell me about your experience. Um, so it is one of my passions, and it for me it was one of my most transformative experiences as a woman, and in sexual healing and overall healing as well. So if you can share your experience with it, like why you were even called to do it, uh, why you chose to do it, and how it has how do you see the benefits of these practices in your life right now?
Yes, of course. So I have been doing yogic practices off and on for like the last 20 years or so. And I kind of hit a point in my life where um everything was just awful, and I hated everything, and I um just hated my life. And so I wanted to change. And so I knew that I needed to heal. And so I did a yoga teacher training. And then after the yoga teacher training, I, wanted to go deeper into my healing. So I decided, I actually heard about this from Rose Gold Goddesses. Sahara Rose has this group. And one of the months we did womb work and sacred womb work. And we read the book Wild Feminine. Let me see. I don't have it up here. I forget who the author is. Tammy something.
Yeah, Tammy Lynn Kent.
Yes, that's it. Yes. And so I read that book. And as soon as I read that book, I was like, wow, every woman, including like teens, like once you have your moon cycle, you should really be reading this book. I loved how it shared stories from all these different women from all walks of life and all different experiences they have with their womb center. Um, from getting your first period to sexual traumas to giving birth, and whether that birth was healthy or sexual, like there's all these different energies that we hold in our womb. And with our womb being a woman's power center, it's so important to take care of that.
Yeah.
And so I began experiencing sexual trauma in high school. And, at the time, I didn't even realize that it was sexual trauma. Many of us don't.
Yeah.
Until years later. And so I felt things like being blocked in my own sexuality and my own sexual pleasure. And so I have also had several physical accidents that affected my hips and my pelvic bone. And so de-armoring helps with not only like physical trauma, but also emotional trauma. And some of these traumas that collect in our bodies are not always even ours. We can also pick up things that we hold in our womb space. And so just like any other tissue in the body, like if someone is stressed out and they hold their tension in their shoulders and the neck, they will get tense or they'll get knots in their neck. Well, the same thing can happen inside the vagina. And so it's super important to practice de-armoring and get in touch with the energetics of your womb space so that you can know, where are you holding something? Where is there tension? Where is there something that needs to be released? And mapping out, and that book that I just spoke of, The Wild Feminine, allows you to be guided to how to map out your own womb space. And with the de-armoring technique, it was so interesting. Like, who would have known that I would have knots there? Right? Like, how weird is that? We don't know until we know. And so it should be smooth. And so the de-armoring, it takes time. And so, it's a practice that you have to dedicate, you have to dedicate yourself to wanting to heal in that way. And so I noticed as I did this over time, the knots would disappear. And then also, I wouldn't experience pain with sex anymore. And also I was able to receive more pleasure. And that pleasure wasn't just sexual pleasure, but that pleasure was life pleasure from everything in life. From walking down the street, like so mundanely, just walking down the street and just being able to take everything in and just experience life in a different way. And we spoke about the connection with the throat and the womb space. And I did notice that as I became, fluid in this practice and healing and releasing all of these traumas. And I will let you know that if you have had sexual abuse before or sexual trauma, um, it can be triggering and it can bring up some old things. But that's why we're doing it, right? So that we can bring those up and so that we are able to heal through those. And so there was a lot to be processed. But after doing that and after processing, I became very liberated and very free in my own sexuality
Mm,
and my expression of that. And also the expression of me being able to express that freely through my voice.
yes. Mm,
And I notice as I do this, my voice continues to change. And so what used to maybe sound, um, you know, like my voice would crack when I would speak. And honestly, um, I used to have stage fright and I could not speak in front of people.
wow.
I would have panic attacks and have total anxiety. And at least once a month now, I do a workshop where I'm speaking in front of a group of people. And I feel at home doing that. And I
Yeah.
never thought that would ever be a thing. Never. And I'm very comfortable talking about anything and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And this practice totally helped me do that. And also like I always used to hate my voice, and I get so many compliments on my voice, especially when I bring it down and I'm guiding in my yoga
Got goosebumps.
classes. Yes. Or in my sound baths and meditations. um I get so much feedback about how soothing my voice has become, and how people can really drop in and get into a deeper healing space. And and now when I think my voice sounds pretty, and I never thought that would be a thing either. And so it's just super exciting to have all of these amazing things come out of just this one practice.
Yeah, yeah. It's just it's the benefits that come that you wouldn't even think of, just like you said, like
Yes.
because like what comes to me is the voice. It's coming from a much more grounded place where
Mm-hmm.
they're, instead of like talking from up here and just in this space that's constricted, like it's loosened up. So of course, I mean, I don't know too much
Mm-hmm.
about, singing and vocal cords, but I would imagine that when your throat is open, your voice sounds more open, more clearer. And
Yes.
I love how you said like now you could just talk about anything. And
Mm-hmm.
I so resonate with that because I mean, honestly, even 10 years,
Without shame.
yeah, exactly. 10 years
Without
ago,
shame.
we'd not be talking about orgasms with people on in social media and or masturbation and you know vaginas and like, but and I was just like, because people are like, wow, you're so very free and open about talking with this stuff. I'm like, yeah, it seems very natural to do this.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Yes, and with me working with yoga, I have worked so hard on all the yoga poses and breath work and all these things to open up my throat chakra. But really, like after I began de-armoring, that's when I saw my throat chakra open.
Interesting. Yeah, the nice
Mhm.
combination as
Yeah.
was there. And I love how you mentioned about if you've had sexual abuse or sexual trauma, especially forced trauma on yourself, it's really important to get in a safe place to do this work.
Yes.
It's creating your safety, having your safety word, even having someone guide you that you trust. Yeah, I love her book about It is. It teaches you how to do these practices, and it's nice to have someone guide you as well. Kind of like, when you get these books and there's a meditation in there, so it's kind of hard to like read the meditation and like go into. So
Right.
yeah, so sometimes it's nice to have. And I, as a massage therapist, I here in Texas, I can't do internal work, which I thought, oh, I won't be able to do, Yoni Deamoring for other women. How can I do this? And, after reading Tammy's book, I'm like, oh, I'll guide, I'll teach women how to do this for themselves.
Yeah.
Because then it's like, if you teach a person to fish, they'll feed themselves forever. But if you do it for them, they're going to starve the next day. They won't know how to do it. And, like you did say also, is it's a continuing practice, right?
Right.
It's not a one and done. Maybe some people, I don't know, maybe it is, but I kind of think about it as massage. Like I need to go for a while, especially when there's chronic tightness. You need to do it on a
Mhm.
regular. It's a self-care, really.
Yes.
And you do need to be committed. It's like going to the gym, or committing on eating healthy, or going to your yoga classes, and like you need to have that deep inner calling that this
Hmm.
is my healing path. I'm doing this for me, and so I can show up fully in this world, however that is, because you never know how, just like your
Yeah.
experience, my experience, who knows what's going to come of it, but it's only just going to be good.
Yeah. Exactly. Yes. Yes. Yeah. And so doing that work and healing has allowed me to step in my power with more confidence.
Hmm. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's, you said that before. It's like the womb is a woman's power center. That is
Mhm.
our creation unit for everything. Just not
Yes.
human babies, but our dreams, our desires, what we're going to be birthing out to this world. And I really think it's almost selfish if you don't do this work, because because then you're not showing up as fully as you possibly can.
Right. And
You
as
might,
authentically.
right, you might think you are, but there's so many different layers of beliefs and old patterns that you know need to be unveiled for us to fully clearly see our authentic self and our voice and how we're standing in this world.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, wonderful. So when you first started de-armoring, how often did you do it?
When I first started, I was doing it once or twice a week.
Mm-hmm. That's good. Yeah.
Yeah, for about a month or two at that frequency.
Mm.
And it was really intense.
Yeah.
There was a lot. And there were a lot of things that were coming up and memories that were coming up that I didn't expect.
Yeah.
But with the allowance to sit with that and feel those emotions, and also allow myself to use that time when those emotions arise and those memories arise, that this is my time to release that from my body,
Yes.
that is the time to release and let go,
Mm-hmm.
because now I am safe,
Yes.
and that will not happen again, and that person
Mm-hmm.
cannot happen or hurt me again,
Yes.
and that is the past,
Yeah.
and I can let that go.
How freeing. And you don't need to carry that
Yeah.
energy of the experience, energy of that person with you
Yeah.
anymore. Yeah. And that, I think that's such a beautiful point, because and and sometimes in my experience, it's the things that come up, you might not necessarily always know where it's coming from or what exactly it is. It could just like be this feeling, this emotion,
Right.
and to just be with that. Like we don't need to figure out what is, when did this happen? Why? Or it's like, just that energy, just like you said, it's coming up. Oh, hallelujah, amen. It's coming up, it's coming out,
Yes.
and breathing, and however,
Mm,
journaling it out or sounding it out, however you're feeling called, dancing, moving it out, and
mm.
just giving thanks afterwards, like thank you for this healing, you know
Yes.
and that's, I
Mhm.
think that's a really important, like, and that creates our safety too, so we don't get stuck into like, why did this happen, and judging ourselves, and oh, I totally forgot about this, oh, this really hurt, like your head
Right.
can just bring you in. So it's just like, get out of the head, feel it in the body so you can move it out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yes. And yes, you talked about bringing dance and sound into that. And though I absolutely love to bring those into the practice also
Mm-hmm.
when necessary. And anytime I need to move out energy, I shake and I dance. And I also more recently have been moving those things out through sound.
Yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that helps as well, opening up your
Yes.
throat.
So beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sound. Well, through sound healing, it just
Mhm.
vibrates through the human
Yes.
body, and the cells vibrate, and like it's that's why it's called sound healing, because it can actually
Yes.
change your DNA, right? That
It does. It
Yeah.
really does.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And then also like audible like sounds um from my own voice.
Yeah.
Um so so beautiful and haunting sometimes. Um and with the allowance to release without expectation
Mm-hmm.
to
Yeah.
see what comes out. And sometimes I surprise myself. But it's so beautiful. So
Yeah.
beautiful.
Have you ever had that experience of a sound, or whether it's like a mantra or a seed sound coming out, but it's like, it doesn't even sound like you? You're like,
Yeah.
who is
Like,
this?
where
Like,
did that come from?
mhm.
I recorded myself a couple times and I play it back and it's so interesting.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh wow. Like, well, not because we just said we don't need to know where it's coming from, but
Right. No.
now I'm kind of thinking like, it was interesting to be like, oh, is it like an old past life of mine or
Right. I
something?
was just gonna say because it's not always from this life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And that's the beautiful thing about, we healing in this, because of the whole time construct, like, or no being no time, we heal now and we heal back and forward as well.
Mhm.
Again, that's why I feel like if you don't do this work, it's selfish, because
Yeah.
you could be healing ancestors behind you and your children in front of
Yes.
you, right? So it's like, take the reins, and do this work
Mhm.
for yourself,
Yes.
and it goes back and forth. And
Yes, it does. It's beautiful. I've seen it happen with my own work.
mhm.
Yeah. And other people's work, it's beautiful.
And just before we go, just touching upon the, actual, actual physical health, right? Because like you mentioned, there's, by de-armoring, we're releasing this tension in the pelvic floor. And a lot of women, in my experience, they're doing Kegels to tighten, 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 but they already are so tight. We need to strengthen. And in order to strengthen, the tightness has to be released, and then doing the strengthening exercises for it. So,
Right, because if we're doing all the Kegels like in the world, but we haven't de-armored first,
mhm.
our muscles aren't contracting in the right spots. There's some muscles that will never activate.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, and so until we de-armor and our tissues are soft, then we can start the work of Kegels and strengthening.
Mm-hmm.
But until then, it's really kind of pointless. Like you're wasting your energy.
Yes, yes. And making the muscles work harder because there's an imbalance,
Yep.
so there's one getting more tight and tight and the other ones are, and there's lack of blood flow. And yeah,
Yep.
so it's not
Absolutely.
only, if you don't believe in the energetic healing or the ancestral healing, if that's not something that people believe in, they can, you know,
Look to
grab
the
onto the
physical.
physical. Yes, because,
Mhm.
you know, I mean, it is very true, especially with women getting older, pelvic floor gets weaker. And, I remember having a friend years ago, he was an anesthesiologist. And this is the first time I ever heard about like really the pelvic floor in women. I had heard, oh, older women, you laugh, you jump, might pee yourself, I'm like, yeah, that. But he was actually telling me stories of women coming into the emergency room with organ prolapse, like coming out. I'm like, what? Like, how is that even possible? And because it just gets so weak, the bladder is actually starting to fall out of the body. And the uterus as well. And I'm like, wow, that doesn't sound good. So
No, sounds
that
awful.
doesn't sound good. I'm like, this kind of work, this pelvic floor work, this de-armoring, using jade eggs, like it's it's so healing in so many ways. And like you've expressed and I've expressed, it affects your life in such a positive way. It's like, why wouldn't you do this work? Just
Hmm.
because it'll help you so many ways, even down the road as you get older.
Yes. Yeah, I remember hearing some women's stories about urine leakage after pregnancy
Mm-hmm.
and then beginning the de-armoring process to re-strengthen those muscles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 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 and it's a beautiful
It's
thing.
yeah.
'Cause you can actually do that, before you give birth as well. I mean, ideally, you'd want to do it before you got pregnant, but you can do it before
Yeah.
birth to prepare the vagina
And open
for
that
birth.
energy center. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and that kind of work leads to, what is coming that I'm studying now and offering as a birth doula is ecstatic birth, because there is pleasure in birth, but you need to do the work,
To experience
to
it.
experience that.
Hmm.
'Cause
Yeah.
birth is a sexual act. Sex got you pregnant, and your sexual organs are giving you your baby, and it's all connected there.
Yeah. That's beautiful.
Uh,
Mhm.
well, thank you, love. I've had an amazing time talking with you, and hopefully
Yes.
people
Always.
have enjoyed this talk and your share. Thank you for the courage to come and talk about something so very personal. Just honoring you and your journey of your self-expression and standing in your power. So,
Thank you so much.
yeah. All right.